Hey, so here we are live. Where is everybody tonight? Hmm, Nobody in just yet. Hopefully, I haven't messed this up. Usually got a few waiting. Where have you all gone, guys? That's the one we want. Had the wrong one on. Oh, yeah. What have I done? God damn it. Hey, man. All right, I seem to have done a double attempt to do some kind of double live mess up here. But hey, you're arriving. Old timer F7. Hey man, how you doing? Iceman's in the house. Dr. Art. Hey buddy, how you doing? Sixth Street Garage. Howdy Kiwi. Yep. Hello. Uh, who else we got? Mark Sanders. Granddad's Junk. Another Kiwi boy. Roy Miller. Old timer. More bourbon. Hey, no, actually tonight. That's what I'm drinking tonight. That is a Long Island iced tea, and hopefully Long Island Mopars are going to be. He sent me the recipe for this and said, try this on one of the lives. So here I am. I mixed it up and it's actually not bad. It's mainly bourbon with a bit of vermouth and a few other little bits and pieces in it. And yeah, it's quite nice. Quite nice. Josh Homan, how you doing, man? Long Island Mopars. We were just talking about you. Basil Hayden, Dark Rye. Yeah, I'm drinking the recipe you sent me, buddy. Andy, how you doing, man? Stray Bullets in the house. All right. So what's new with everybody? Steve said, any mate, if I'd remembered to think about it, then I might have had some luck with it. You asked me that last week. Shoot. When I get a minute, I'll have a quick look on I'll try and keep talking with you guys and try and find it on my phone. Because I'll probably just forget again by next week. Being somewhat memory challenged these days. Yeah. So what else is going on? Copy that Kiwi, Long Island, eh? It's a nice drink, man. It's nice. It's that vermouth in it, vermouth, kind of adds a little bit of spice to it. It's quite nice. Steve Sadusky, aren't we all? Yeah, it seems to be a thing. Yeah. I saw a good meme thing the other day, and it said, what is it with the fact that I can remember lyrics of songs from the 1970s, but I can't remember why I walked into the kitchen? And it's like, I kind of laughed, but it was like, oh, there's some truth to that. Chrome Shack. No, it wasn't Chrome Shack. I'm going to look for it right now. So keep firing some questions, and I'll keep trying to find it. Nope, not there. Oh, that was Kevin Tates of Patrication. He's just messaging me photos of his Camaro. Well, I think it used to be his Camaro. Now it's like, it's like 2/3 of a Camaro. Oops. Now back to looking for Chrome. It could always be in my contacts list, I guess. Nope, not there either. Okay. No, getting nowhere fast here. Chrome Empire? No. Holy Car Mods. Hi, Kiwi. Glad to see you got your rear springs for the Falcon. Yeah, they weren't really that hard to find. I was trying to be a tight ass and get some second hand ones, but that really wasn't happening. Yeah, got some new ones. They weren't too bad. A little bit over $300 for shipping, and yeah, they're doing the job nicely. It's sitting a little high, but I think that's going to settle down. We'll throw a bit of weight in the trunk of it and let it drive for a while, and then take it from there. See how it goes. Urcost is in the house. How are you, buddy? All the way from Torrance. Barracuda's here. Hey, Barry, how you doing, man? Oh, the price of alcoholic drinks is ridiculous in New Zealand, like everything else. Yeah, well, I had my in-laws over here about 3 or 4 weeks ago, and they were absolutely staggered at the price of alcohol here in the States. You're getting double the size bottle for half the price. It's expensive in New Zealand. Oh, Kevin Tates is in the house too. Punctuation. Hey, Kiwi, my Camaro is in pieces, and it's all my fault. Yes, I just saw the pictures. You just sent the pictures through. Yes, it does. It's looking. They look a lot worse before they start looking better. But hey, man, you got it. You got it. And I'm only a phone call away. Just give me a call. We'll come down. We'll get it straightened out. No time flat. Not a big deal. Granddad's junk. That's why I make my own. A little bit of moonshine going on down there at Granddad's place. Urcost, with you for a bit before the VP debate. Oh, vice presidential debate. I hope there are some good car repair questions for Coach Walls. Oh, dear me. Yes, well, rather you than me watching the political debates. Yeah. It'll be interesting to see. Stray bullet. It's amazing how much springs sag over their lifetime. Yeah, they do, and I think that's part of the reason the Falcon's got a bit of a rake on it, because it's still got the original old, 60-year-old springs in the front of it, or 58-year-old springs in the front of it, and nice shiny brand new springs in the back. So they're sitting a little bit higher than they're meant to, and the front ones are sitting a bit lower. So there you go. There it looks a little odd to me, but it's all good. If it doesn't settle down, we'll throw some 1-inch blocks in it, and lowering blocks. It'll be fine. Kevin Tates, it's actually going better than I thought. Thanks for your tips. Makes me more confident about it all. Well, mate, that's what friends are for. Kevin was on the phone with me for 20 minutes the other day. We were just going over how you rebuild a car to that extent without having when you don't have a chassis table and all the laser measuring equipment, and when it's just when you're rebuilding it old school style, and sure, it takes a little bit longer, but it's the price of that fancy equipment that makes it quicker is high. It's a lot. You can do a lot of other stuff with that money. Kathleen Mitchell, do you like jet boats? Here in Idaho, we have jet boat racing, and we've got lots of Kiwis. Okay, that's cool. I do like jet boats. I did a video, 18 months ago, about some relatives of mine over in California and she had a badass jet boat, one of those little river jet boats. Not the river racing ones, but like had the big twin 4-barrel tunnel rams on a big block Chevy, and like the side of the boat's about that deep. Just the rounded back on it. Those cool old kind of 70s hot jets, I think they called them. Very cool boat. Beautiful bit of gear. I mean, no good in rough water at all, but went like hell. It was a lot of fun. And my dad had a number of jet boats, and I've had jet skis, and I like them. I do like them. Steve Sadusky, the Falcon stance looks great with the new springs. Well, there you go. You see, everybody's different. Like there isn't an absolute. There's not one way to do it. So what else have we got? Old timer F7 US Chrome. No, it's not. It's something like Tom's Chrome, but I just looked up Tom's Chrome and it's not it. And I'll do a bit of searching on the internet, but it's kind of a little. I can't really do that right now, obviously. Long Island Mopars, I'd rather watch a debate on alcohol than politics. Well, I'm with you, but I couldn't agree more. Urcost, if you think springs sag, check my old lady. Oh my goodness, I hope she, for your sake, she's not watching this. You're a brave man. That'll get back to her, buddy. Someone was going to tell her. Did you see what your husband said? Stray Bullet, put some 60 series tires on the back. Yeah, well, a set of like Chrome GT Mustang 12 slots are coming my way soon. So that's a thought, to put a set of them on it. The GT and the hubcaps, and maybe make a bit of a faux Aussie GT Falcon out of it. I don't know. We'll see. It's not like I have a lot of spare time to be messing with that stuff. So for right now, I'm just gonna drive it. What's the status of the 427 FE 67 Mustang? The red one you're talking about, Bud, or the black one? The red one is waiting for me to get to it. We'll be jumping back on that again very shortly. We've got a couple of little things to do. Then the motor and box. If it's the red one you're talking about, then the motor and box will come out again for the last time. We'll finish up the bell housing area of the tunnel. I've got to try a bit more out of that. Paint the engine, and then it's going together. Some rear suspension, a set of a complete Heights rear suspension 4-link setup just arrived for it. So we got that to put in it. So that'll be a video doing the Heights 4-link. I'm quite a fan of those. They're a clever little system. It's not the perfect 4-bar because they're unequal length. The bottom bars are longer than the top bars. But for a street car, it's perfect. Nothing comes up through the floor to get in the way of the rear seat. The customer wants to keep his rear seat and keep it looking fairly stock. So by going shorter top bars, you can fit an actual 4-link in it. And it's the same setup I've got in my Mustang. And so I know it works well. It may not give you quite the traction that an equal length 4-bar gives you. But it's a lot better than axle hopping leaf spring, I'll tell you that much. Who else we got? Kiwi 2024. Oh my goodness. You wouldn't want me running the show. I mean, I can't even remember to look for a chrome shop. How am I going to run a country? I mean, seriously. Chris Cadman, hello Kiwi. Quick question: should I put the old 72 Sportster? Oh Lord, motorbike questions, mate. I'm not really the right person to be asking. Motorbikes are just not my thing. Sportster. Look, I would prefer a Triumph to a, and I'm not really sure why. I think just because it's an English bike, and I remember, like in New Zealand, they had quite a few Triumphs, and so I can't, I can't give you a technical reason as to why, but I prefer a Triumph over a Harley. but that's just me. Dan's polishing, nose for nitro. Yep, you got it, bud. Dan's polishing shop in Adamsville. Yep, thank you. Saved me looking for it. I appreciate that, man. That I was close. Well, kind of Tom's. I knew it was like a short single guy's name, and I was thinking it was Tom stuck in my head. But Dan's polishing shop in Adamsville. I've had quite a bit of stuff done by them, and never had a problem with it. It's always been very, very nice work, and reasonably priced. They're not cheap, but you don't get a cheap job. And it's not like they're not advanced plating kind of prices. They're a lot less than them. I'd call advanced plating's up here, and some of the cheap ones are down here, and Dan's is kind of in the middle, maybe 2/3. So yeah, they've never lost anything. They've never messed anything up. So yeah, had a good run with them. Long Island Mopars. The rear springs in my 66 Coronet are original. Added shackles to bring the ride height back up to stock. Adjusted the torsion bars, and she sits awesome. Yeah, adding shackles will give you a little bit of height. They tend to rock and roll a little bit the longer you go on the shackles. So as long as you didn't add too much to it, you'll be fine. But you probably know that anyway. But yeah, that's the beauty with the Mopars, the torsion bars. You just wind them up to suit or down. I better. That was my buddy Steve texting. Let me just. Huh. Sorry, guys. That's Steve-O that works for me. He's trying to get a part for his car and he can't get it. I've been trying to help him locate one. So where are we up to? Steve Sadusky, my 68 Chevelle SS is in pieces too. Frame off restoration on a plain Kiwi too. What did I do? John Olkowski, hello, welcome along. John, you haven't missed much at all. We're only kind of 18 minutes in. So, yeah, you haven't missed much at all. Straight bullet. Chrome shops are disappearing. Yeah, it's... I'm not really sure what it's like in New Zealand, but I know here in the States, yeah, they're getting thin on the ground. That so many restrictions on them now with the EPA. I mean, it's not the healthiest industry, like that. They use a lot of pretty toxic kind of chemicals and stuff like that. So the EPA is kind of all over them. I don't believe there's a single chrome shop in California, for example. It's just too hard. Because they're extra tough in California. I might be wrong about that, but someone said there's no chrome shops in California. Mark Brook, here's a good question. How do I find a reliable inspector to check out a classic car for me? All right. How do you really? You need to find a decent hot rod shop and find a way of if you can get the car in the door with them, if they'll look at it for you. And like if it's a Chevy, if you can find a hot rod shop that's a little bit more familiar with Chevys. If it's a Mustang, like maybe a shop like mine where we do a bit more Mustangs. Try and take it. Yeah, you may not be able to be that picky, but if you can, take it to someone that specializes a bit more towards the type of car you're looking at. I had a car in that had been inspected. This is going back a few years now, probably 6 or 7 years. That had been inspected by like an independent, and that's all they did was inspect classic cars, and they missed a bunch of stuff. And like one of the things they missed was they actually made a little comment. They said it looked like it had had a minor damage on the right rear. And one of his complaints was the right rear seemed to be sitting low. So, it's like, again, a list of other little things he wanted done to it. And I had it up on the rack and I was walking up to it from outside and it's like, that car's leaning on the rack. And for a moment, I thought there was something off with my rack. But it wasn't. The car was flat the back of the car was like drooped like badly on the right, like probably down on the right rear corner, 1.5 to 2 inches down, where it had been hitting the back hard, and it tweaked the chassis and it pulled the back corner down. And the independent inspector said it showed signs of possibly minor damage. It's like, well, I hate to see a big one. But yeah, if you can find a hot rod shop, some place that's hands-on working with these cars, you soon get to know, the inside little tricks that things that go on with some of these older cars. If you're working with them quite a bit, that's who I'd be looking for. Who we got? Chrome Zone. Hi from this Kiwi and Aussie. There you go. What part of Aussie are you in, bud? That would be. Oh man, I hate it when it does that. The thing's just shot up. Stray Bullet. That would be 70s style. Yes, it would. Barracuda, I remember when the shot over Riverjet's boats were more normal size with 2 351 Ford engines. Very cool. Yeah, they're big now, aren't they? They hold so many people on those things, and they're slow and just heavy. When they were smaller and more nimble, they were much more exciting to ride on. Higher Kiwi, Mark. Yeah. Well, mate, if you're anywhere in the Tennessee area, hit me up. But let me know where you are, and I might even be able to point you in the direction of. I mean, obviously, I know a few of the guys around the country, hot rod shops, and I might be able to point you in the right direction if you can let me know, where the car is. Chris Cadman, bourbon time. Yes, I actually having a Long Island tea tonight, which is mostly bourbon. But that Andy, Long Island Mopar, sent me the recipe for it and said, try it. So here I am. I'm trying it. It's not bad. Granddad's junk. I've been busy milling those logs. I cut bloody hard handling logs on your own. Good Lord, I bet it is. Now training, I can rest my rattly bones here. The wood will be getting heavier as we speak, won't we, with the water soaking into it. Man, that's a lot of hard work, but beautiful timber. Thunderbird 68. Hello, buddy. How you doing? Old timer. Wonder about the black one, the altered engine location 67. Yeah, that's coming back in. He's lost all pressure in that. We've got a mystery issue with that car. It's out of left field. He just went to start it one morning and no oil pressure. It's got oil in it. I got it in briefly and put a mechanical gauge on it, and it's got no oil pressure. Like zero, like just nothing. Not low, just nothing. So I don't know what's gone on there. Unfortunately, I just didn't have the room to dig into it. It's going to need to drop the pan, but unfortunately, in that with that Mustang 2 type front suspension that it has in it, you've got to pull the engine. You can't. The cross member's welded in. So unlike the original Mustang setup where you could take the little tubular cross member they had, such loosely called a cross member, but you could drop the pan in place. You can't do that with the Mustang 2. So that's got to come back in as soon as I can get to it and pull the engine and see what's going on with that. So that's a bit of a bit of a minus. I don't know. I don't think it's. I don't know that it's. That the engine's not blown. I don't believe it's just something's happened with the oil pump. It's stripped a drive. It's done something. I think it's done something weird like that. But yeah, you get to the bottom of that. Stray Bullet, love that sawdust smell. Yeah, it is. It is nice. I go along with that. Old timer F7, Granddad. My local pine mill is closing indefinitely this week. Loggers here are in bad shape. I'll bet they are. Stray Bullet, strange name for a chrome shop. Yeah, Dan's polishing in chrome. I guess the owner's Dan, and yeah. Wow, how do I say that? Sistori. Good evening, Kiwi. Good evening, buddy. How you doing? Hi, Raider X. Hi, Kiwi. What has to be done to a 60s Mustang to be considered a wide body? Well, yeah, some people will put just little cheap, aftermarket flares on them, like just stick on fiberglass flares and call it a wide body. I personally don't. To me, that's just fender flares. That's not a wide body. Ring Brothers do a wide body, and they add in 2 inches right down the whole side. They basically slice the side off the Mustang and add 2 inches all the way down. Now, I kind of did something like that on my Mustang. I call my Mustang a wide body, and I sliced the very outside skin of the fenders off and curved them like a Coke bottle. Like I curved the front and back of the rear fender are in the original location, but the middle is pulled out. So that it has this curve along the length of it. Mustang. Kevin Tate's actually described, the early Mustang as being very similar to a tissue box because they're just square everywhere. But you look down my Mustang and it's got a real Coke bottle shape because I stretched the rear fenders out 3 inches in the middle, like above the wheel arch. So it goes out 3 inches and back in. The doors run along straight, and then the front fenders bulge out again, and so that's what I call a wide body. And I've a couple of guys. I've seen a couple on the Mustang forums, and saying, "Look at my wide body Mustang," and I'm like, "Yeah, it's not a wide body. It's just got little, $200 a set plastic fender flares on it." And it's like, no, that's not a wide body. But and then vehicles like Ken Block's Mustang that he had. Although they were flares, the body, literally the whole body wasn't wider, but it certainly had massive fender flares on it. So that was, I think you can call that one a wide body. Cord LB played everything gold. Well, if that's what floats your boat, man. I'm not sure it would be for me, but. Steve Sadusky, thanks for the Chrome Shop info. Give them a call. You can mention my name. I don't know that it'll really achieve much for you, but hey, can't hurt. Andy Nickel. So I've been waiting. I'm sorry, mate. The technology got the better of me, and I somehow managed to do a double live at the same time. So I'm sorry about that, man. That's my bad. And I tried to kind of make it go away, but I'm guessing that didn't work. I thought I'd shut it down, but if you've been sitting there waiting for 80 minutes, then, man, I'm sorry about that. Cost. Leaf spring. Time to man up to the full IRS of a classic 67 Corvair. Man, you've got those Corvairs in your blood, haven't you? Like, he's just lives at all. Urkos lives and breathes these early Corvairs. They're a good-looking car. You got to be honest, though, Eric. That rear suspension design is not really state of the art, is it? But yeah, that should bring a reaction. Chris, good evening, Kiwi. Good evening, buddy. How you doing? John Giddens, strange name, but Kiwi Metal Polishers still operating in Rotorua, New Zealand. Kiwi Metal Polishers, okay. Yeah, I remember there used to be one in Newmarket. There used to be several around Auckland. When I was like a teenager, and that's when chrome was cheap to get done. Like, as an 18-year-old kid making not much money at all, I could afford to get bits and pieces of chrome for my my old American car that I had. Andy Nichols says me right for showing up early. Oh, I'm sorry, but I feel bad. I really do. That's just me screwing up. 6th Street Garage. Kiwi, can you explain why base coat, clear coat paint jobs are cut and buffed after clear coat? To me, it would make more sense to cut and buff the base coat than the clear coat. Okay, well, you cannot cut, sand, do anything to the base coat. That has to go down and basically remain untouched, particularly if it's metallic, because the metallic's right there on the surface. And as soon as you sand it or buff it or do anything to it, it tears up the metallic, and you just end up with a blotchy mess. The metallics need to be laid down, and all the metal flake laying the same way and just be untouched. And then you clear over it, and then that gives you, a product being the clear that you can sand flat and color sand it and buff it. But yeah, you cannot touch the base coat. The sanding marks that you see, like, you can't even touch it. You'll see occasionally, a confident painter might get a tack rag and try and pick a few little bits of fluff that might have ended up in the base coat. But you got to be so careful if that tack rag touches the base coat and leaves a little mark there, the slightest little mark, that mark is locked in, and you have that mark forever, for as long as you have that paint job. So yeah, that's why you do not mess with the base coat. You cannot mess with the base coat. Mo Parel, hey, welcome along, bud. How you doing? What happened with the Lark? I'm guessing you didn't get that going for the No Name Nationals. You were having some engine trouble last time I saw a little post from you. So that kind of sucked. I felt for you there, bud. Chris Cadman bought a 63 Galaxy 500, 352 clean. Very nice. Very nice. Those are a nice, cool, big old tank. Good, great cruiser. Phil Buckley, Aussie Falcon rear springs all seem to sag after about 30 years. Got mine reset. Yeah, that's the beauty with them. If you've got a spring shop in your area, which I didn't have, a lot of people said to me, just go and get, one more, main leaf made at your local spring shop. But we don't have a local spring shop. Those sorts of shops are just gone by the wayside. There's not the demand there anymore. I mean, leaf springs really are something of a thing of the past. There's just not the demand for them that there was. Not many. I think the only new vehicles these days are pickup trucks. And even then, it's like the heavy duty ones. Quite a few of the pickup trucks now are going coils all round. Yeah. Barracuda, the 63 is the nicest Galaxy in my opinion. Yeah, I'd have to go along with that. Yeah, I think you're right. Thunderbird 1968, Kiwi, is that your nickname or your given name? No, it's my nickname. It kind of, if I ever go back to New Zealand, I'll have to lose that nickname, because if you yell out Kiwi in New Zealand, the whole damn place will turn around. So yeah, I can have that nickname here in the States, but there's not one you can have in New Zealand. Chrome Zone, Kiwi, I was very impressed with the electric window conversion on large Marge. I'm the second owner of a fully original XW Fairmont wagon and want to do something similar. It has electric tailgate option. Well, yeah, I was. That was kind of a fun little exercise, because I hadn't done anything quite like that before. And, for the cost of the parts, which was like $32 or $31 for the regulator, it's like, well, let's just get one and cut it up and see if it works. If it doesn't, I'm out $30. So yeah, I got one, and it became pretty quickly apparent that, hey, this should work. Put it together, sure enough, it worked, and it's like, okay. And yeah, as long as you can weld and you just need to be able to see in your mind what it is you're going to do. I'm kind of blessed in that way. I can look at a problem and I can mentally see what it is I need to do, and then I can do it. That's just something you're either lucky enough to have or you're not. So yeah, that is something that I'm blessed with. I'm very grateful for that. So yeah, that was quite a bit of fun and very cheap. It might, those same regulators or some regulators may cost you a bit more in Aussie, but you might also be able to get something out of a junkyard. Even some later model Falcon ones that might be that little bit closer than I think the ones I adapted in were like Honda ones. But I doubt you're going to get any regular electric motor and regulators for $30 in Aussie. I wouldn't think. Long Island Mopars, if you want to see a wide body, my 74 Charger just entered the chat. Oh, okay. What have you got done to that? Or are they just a big, well, they're a big wide car anyway, aren't they? I'm not sure whether that's what you mean, but yeah, you touch that scroll button and away it goes. CW, Kiwi, have you given any more thought to the wheels and tyres on your Falcon? Not really. Like I was saying a few minutes ago, I've got that red Mustang that I've got in the shop has got a set of those old 12 slots on it, those Ford 12 slot chrome wheels with the little dog dish hubcap in the middle of them. With the little caps that got GT on it. I think those would look quite slick on it. So I can, because we're changing the wheels on that car, the owners kindly offered them to me at a very friendly price, and so they may well be going on the Falcon. Just I just don't want to spend a lot of money on that car. I don't want to have a whole lot of money in it that I've got to try and get back, and I just want it to be just an easy driver. Max Level, good evening, Kiwi. Could you or anyone here explain to me what is causing my hubcaps to rotate and cut into the tyre valve stems? 64A body with drum brakes. No. Short answer. I'm not sure why they would be doing that. I can only imagine that, possibly, they're just not gripping tight enough. And under braking or something like that, they're trying to move. Do they seem like they're rotating forwards or rotating backwards, or is it different on each side? It's a little bit of an odd one. I don't imagine it's accelerating that hard that it's going to kind of spin the caps, but it might be. Yeah. Fleetwood, hey. Alan Trimble, hello, bud. How you doing? Barry Cooter, I'd like a Crown Conversions Corvair. I don't even know what that is, but Urkos, 60 to 64 Corvairs had terrible swing axles, 65 and 69. They were full IRS. Copy from the Corvette. Okay. I wasn't aware of that. I thought they were all that weird swing arm setup. Okay, well, that would make them a lot better. That's that weird, that swing arm like Volkswagen Beetle was, not great. Yeah, the limiter is the little flat 6 in it. Yeah. Patrick Sullivan, howdy, folks. Yeah, I'm doing good, bud. I'm doing good. Thanks for coming in, dropping in. Fleetwood, and no matter how clean you are, you'll always get dirt in the clear that you'll want to knock down. Plain base coat can be nibbed if you're going to give it one more coat. Yeah. That final, yes, you can clean them up. You can mess with it a little bit before the last coat of base if you've got issues, but you do need one last unmolested coat of base before you put the clear on. Yeah, there's always going to be trash in it, and unless you've got like a high dollar booth, but even then they still get a little bit of trash. Chris Cadman, 1960S and 70S Honda bikes are base candy paint. You need a color card to paint them. Yeah, you would do. Yes. Fleetwood getting the springs re-arched. Yep, that's, if you've got a shop, that's the way to go. They just lose a little bit of their memory, and there's nothing wrong with the metal typically. But yeah, if you can get them re-arched, have at it. Barracuda, ever done a candy paint job on a whole car? I've only done little things like motorcycle tanks. No, I haven't. Never been brave enough to attempt a true candy job. I mean, some of the Mustangs they called it candy red, and the late model Mustangs had a 3-stage, like a candy these days is 3-stage. You got your base, and then you've got the tinted clear, and then you've got the clear. And the late model Mustang Reds were that. They had a metallic base, and then like a red tinted clear, and then you laid that down, and then you laid more fully clear on top, and that's what you could do, your sanding or machine or polishing on. But yeah, you've got to be very careful with overlap, with the tinted clear. Because you can end up stripes very easily. You really like typically you'd paint a door and you have a little bit of overlap onto the quarter and the fender, and then you paint the quarter, and you end up with, when you do that with candy, you end up with these darker areas on the jambs, like at the front of the door and at the back of the door, edges of the hood and stuff like that. It's my understanding that on those candy jobs, you really got to like walk the length of the car, the whole length, and paint from one end to the other, and then walk all the way back to the front, and then all the way back to the back, so you don't get that overlap on the panels, because then you get the extra build up. And it's the tinted clear that trips you up. Obviously, the regular clear doesn't matter as much, and the base is just really just a typical base, metallic base. But the tinted clear, you've got to be really careful with that. You don't get excessive build up, because the more coats you put on, the darker it gets. So everything has to be the same amount everywhere. So if you're going to do 3 coats of tinted clear, then you have to make sure there's 3 coats and no more and no less over the whole car. So you might do a rear quarter, and then you'll paint the roof, and then you might come down the C-pillar down to the rear quarter, where you've got to be really careful how much you overlap, because anywhere there's any potential for overlap, you've got potential for the colour getting darker, and that's a real problem. What else we got? Thunderbird 68. Whoever was asking about springs, check out Eaton Springs. I think they are out of Michigan. I've heard of them. I got mine from General Springs. I'm quite happy with those. Holy car mods. Have you done any electric steering on any of the older cars with no power steering? I haven't. I nearly did that on Marge. And a few people said, why didn't you just put electric steering on it instead of all that, fussing around with changing the steering box to a different, completely different brand of steering box. And the reason was the old one was so worn out that what you would have ended up with the power assist basically goes in the column and helps you turn the column, and you use the original manual steering box. And if you add that to a worn-out steering box, all you do is get power-assisted worn-out steering instead of heavy worn-out steering. So you're not solving any of the problem. The problem with Marge more than anything was the fact that it was so worn out, and the making it power as well was really just the bonus. It needed a new steering box, and you can't buy a new steering box for a 59 Plymouth. You can find second-hand ones around, but chances are, you might have got a better one, but it's going to be a long way from new. So this way I got a new steering box, and I got power, which I wanted. So yeah, that was the way to go. And I had an electric. I've got sitting in a box at work, an electric, an EPAS system, electric power assisted steering. I've got a kit there, which it's for a Mustang, and we're not going to use it in the end. So I could have used that, but it would have just left me with a worn out light steering. So yeah. Now, Chris Cadman, Kiwi, can I poke and stroke a 352 to 427? Well, the 352 engine is the same as the 390, same block. To the point that if you, like, most 390s have got 352 cast into the block. Most, I can't say all, but I know that a lot of them have. They're a 352 block with a longer stroke crank in it. Now, getting it to 427 from 352, that I'm not so sure about. You're going to need more bore, and so that's a lot bigger. I don't have a solid answer for you on that one. I mean, it's a piece of cake to take them to 390. You just get a 390 crank, sit it in there, 390 rods, away you go. You got a 390. How much further you can bore? So, I mean, if you can, the question really is, can you bore and stroke a 390 to 427? And you probably can. I mean, that red Mustang that I've got at work, that's a 427, and that's stroked out to 511, I think it was. So, yeah, but the difference between a 390 block and a 427 block, I'm not 100% sure whether the deck heights are the same. I think they are. But, the castings for the cylinder liners are probably going to be different. Barracuda, how about Ford 5-slot silver with caps? Yep, that would look good too. Patrick Sullivan, loose-fitting panic stops. I'm not sure what you're referring to there, bud. Max level forward rotation. I would say they're moving under braking. Yeah. Try bending the little tabs. There's little hooks that go in, and they're kind of bent back on themselves, and as you push them in, it has a little sharp edge, and that grabs onto the inside of the wheel rim, the steel rim, and just see if you can spread those a little bit, make them bite a little bit harder. That's what I'd be trying to do. Over the years they've probably just compressed and not gripping quite as tightly as they once did. So, yeah, being forward rotation, I'd say that it's just sheer braking energy. Is like your wheels are trying to slow down and the caps are trying to keep going. And it's, I mean, not wildly, obviously, but, a few thousandths of an inch each time you slow down. And then, that after a little while, that adds up to, a quarter of an inch that it's moved. And, it's start trying to eat into your valve stems. So, yeah. CW, Falcon wheel and tile decision. Great idea, since you might get rid of it. Yeah. I don't know. It's a neat little car to drive. It's a fun little car to drive, and that's, I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I really don't. I'm just going to drive it. And if someone makes me an offer I can't refuse, well, okay, it can go. But I don't know whether I'm going to actively try and sell it either, now, what else have we got? Barracuda, Crown Corvairs have a mid-mounted small block V8. Okay, yeah, I've heard of that being done. That's that would make a neat little car, actually, in the Corvair. That would make a neat. I've heard of it being done. I haven't seen one firsthand, but that would make a neat little car, I think. Patrick Sullivan, what's the displacement of the legendary Ford inline 6 over there? Over there, over there being Australia or here? In Australia, the biggest they went to was, I believe, was 250 cubic inches, unless maybe, they might have had some 300s in the trucks. But as far as being in a Ford Falcon, the biggest they got was 250. Here, I'm not sure. They were much quicker here to go to the V8s. There was a lot more V8 Falcons than there were, comparative to Australia anyway. Long line of Mopars, what was the technique you used on the new firewall of the Swiss cheese Mustang to shrink the metal? I've just got one of those Woodward Fab shrink a stretcher little pedal operated deal, and yeah, I just put the the forward facing edge that firewall had. I just put that in the shrinker jaws and shrunk it, and that just pulled the firewall straight again. And it really, it wasn't bad. It was only about 3/8 of an inch, and you could have like clamped it in the middle and pulled, the sides forward and kind of, forced it into place and welded it. And when I say force, it was, you weren't going to need a huge pry bar or something like that, but it just needed to be, moved and held and welded. But I've got that shrinker there, so I just ran the shrinker across it, and that just pulled the outside edges forward, made a straight line across there, and away you go. But it's not something you absolutely had to do. Like if you didn't have one of those, it wouldn't be a case of, oh my God, what am I going to do now? It wasn't that. You could have forced it, but I just, for the 10 minutes it takes messing around to get it straight, I'd just rather do that. It's just technically a little more correct, but that's me. I'm a bit anal about stuff like that. Yeah, Chris Cadman, if you paint candy wrong, you get tiger stripes. Painted many candies. Well, good for you, man. You're a braver man than me. But yeah, candy stripes are real. And that tiger stripes typically are more of a horizontal or front to back on the roof and the hood and stuff like that. But with the candies, you tend to get these like vertical candy tiger stripes as well. Holy car mods, any recommendations on paint for an RV camper looking to repaint the outside? Hey, no, no, I don't know enough about it to I'd just be pulling an answer out of the air, and I don't, I mean, a good quality automotive paint, I'm sure, would do it, but there could be other factors like the siding. It's typically aluminum, and sometimes you've got rivets and stuff like that to deal with. I don't know. I don't want to give you advice that may be wrong, so I'm going to have to pass on that one and find a RV repair shop and ask them. They'd be the people to tell you, I would say. People are doing it all the time. You quickly learn the tricks of the trade if you're doing a particular type of vehicle. And that's why, like, I won't mess with bodywork on a Corvette, the fiberglass bodywork, and trying to paint a fiberglass car. It's like, no, take it to a Corvette specialty shop, because that's all they do. They know that they've learned through bitter and hard experience the ways to do it wrong. So yeah, they know how to do it right, and that's the way for people to go. And those guys, that all they do is the fiberglass cars, so they probably feel like that about doing metalwork. And that's as it should be. Like stick with what you know, and I mean, you can always expand and spread a little, but you need to be strong in your core work you do, and so that's what I'd be doing, talking to a camper repair shop and seeing what they have found through years of experience is the best paint to use. Fleetwood, tri-coats aren't worth the time and grief in my small shop. No, they're a lot of work. I wouldn't buy a car like a late model car with tri-coats on it, because they're just a pain to match up. And if it's insurance sort of stuff, if you knock a corner off, the insurance company doesn't want to pay the painters what it takes to paint. They'll say just paint the fender, but really you need to paint the whole side and across the front to try and, because you can't really blend tri-coats. And insurance companies don't want to pay what it takes, so you end up with this patchy looking car. And so I wouldn't buy one. I mean, it's a hot rod, it's different, but for your daily driver, I wouldn't buy a tri-coat. Oral Flynn, what are you drinking? Is it American bourbon or English whiskey? I'm having a late lunch and a cup of tea. Tea and scones. It is American bourbon, but it's a Long Island iced tea. Long Island Mopar sent me the recipe for it. Said to try it one of the lives, so here we are. This is a Long Island iced tea, which is Angel's Envy rye bourbon and vermouth and some bitters. And I think that was it. It's quite a nice little mix actually. Craig Nearing, hey buddy, how you doing? Rex Ferris, is there any advice you would give a fellow starting a 57 Plymouth project? Well, gosh, yeah, well, where do you want to start then? So now, when you say you're starting, you've bought the car already, or you're looking to buy one? Because the advice on that is going to be quite different. If you've already got it, yeah. Parts are what you're going to find the hardest for that car. 57 Plymouth. Now I've got the 59 Plymouth. So yeah, parts are hard. If you're looking for something that you need and you see it on eBay and or wherever you find it, my advice is don't mess around. Just if it's a bit high in price, it's like just buy it anyway, because someone else is going to buy it and then you're going to go, shit, I wish I bought that when I had the chance. So if you see something you need, like, I got some badges for my Plymouth, and one of them was fairly high, but it was a Plymouth wagon badge, and it's like, how many of those are you going to find? So I just paid the money, and the car looks that much better for it. It's got all the right badges on it now. So yeah, and 57. Some of that stuff is reasonably high because 57 is the Christine year. So like all the front and all the grills and the little badges, and there's a badge in the middle of the grill on the 57, and that is 57 only. And you have to pay for those. Like if you see one for sale, just swallow hard and hit buy now. Yeah, because you probably, if you can find another one, there's a good chance it'll be even more expensive. So yeah, but happy to talk with you about it. Ask some more questions. Tell me a bit more about it. Have you already got it? Is it rusty? Is it not? Yeah. End of time. I've seen the electric steering on an old Ford van. I was just wondering if it is super hard on the battery. No, it's not super hard on. Sure, it draws power, but it's not that much. If the car you're putting it in's got an early generator, then you kind of got to do the math and add up what that draws plus everything else you're doing and go, is my old 40 amp generator going to cope with this? But if you've got a decent alternator, like even a 65 amp alternator, you'd be just fine. Someone showed me a listing for these electric AC compressors that they're bringing out now, where you can, the AC compressor doesn't need to be connected to the engine of the car at all. It just hooks up by wire. Those draw 70 amps, which is a lot. That's a lot of amps. So you need some big wiring going to. You need like battery cables going to it, and you need. That immediately puts you up into the 150 amp alternator range. But the power steering is nothing like that, nothing close. I think they're probably around 20 amp draw. Which is, if you got 40 amp generator or 40 amp alternator and you're already using 20, and then you add that to it, you're up at max. And they won't run at max for very long. So, yeah, there's your answer. Bony Fingers, do you know of any junkyards around mid-Tennessee with classic cars? Yeah, there's a couple around. About mid-Tennessee, but there's a couple around in Tennessee. But yeah, go on Facebook Marketplace. They're usually advertising on Facebook Marketplace. You'll see them there. I've seen a couple of them there. I can't remember the names exactly where they were, but that's where I've seen them, as Facebook Marketplace. Robert Courtier, Chris Cadman, find a 428 block and save yourself a lot of grief. 390 must be sonic checked for thickness. Yeah, that's probably good advice from Robert there. The 428 is meant to be a lot better. I'll be honest with you, I'm not exactly sure why. I think it's a bore and stroke combo on the 428. It is allegedly a lot better motor. And the 390, yeah, I mean, anytime you're going to really bore an engine, you should be sonic checking the bores for thickness. And you'll be back in the day of that 60s casting. Often there was core shift, and it'll be the metal will be, or the cast iron will be thin on one side of the bore and thick on the other side, just because things moved in the sand casting. So that sonic testing is, if you're looking to make any horsepower, that sonic testing is it's worth the money. It can be a bit of a pain if you pay the money, lay the money down, get it sonic test, and they say your block's no good. It's like, ow, you got to pay for them to say this is junk, throw it away, which is kind of a bitter pill. But it's better than splitting a bore later on and losing the engine. So, that's good advice from Robert Cordier. Phil Buckley got our EH Holden springs redone, difficult to install. Had to make a wooden slide block and jack the springs to get it in the back. The shackles were upside down on those cars. On an EH. Okay. Yeah, some of the trucks here have the upside down shackles. So I'm familiar with that concept, but I didn't realise the EH Holdens had that. Granddad's Junk, Rex, Big M Auto in Williams, California has spare parts for your 57 Plymouth. Oh, there you go. There's a good tip. Look at that. I screwed up again. Right. Barracuda, I remember sometimes helping Dad search the long grass on the side of the road for an AP6 hubcap that decided to go its own way. Yeah, I've done something similar to that. Chris Cadman, is Bob your uncle, or is that an Aussie thing? Actually, I think it's an English thing that kind of carried over to Australia and New Zealand, to be honest. Yeah. Fish Geraldine just popped in to say hi. Signals going in and out. We're recovering from Helene. Yeah. You got it hard down there. You got hit very hard. I hope the kind of recovery is going well for you, bud, as well as can be expected. Yeah. Long Island Mopars. Yeah, good on you, man. Hugh Phillips. Hello, Mr. Kiwi. When transporting, do you prefer an open trailer or enclosed? That depends on the car. If it's a nice car, then enclosed, yeah. You pick up a lot of dirt and trash, depending how far you're going too, of course. But yeah, enclosed trailer is going to protect your car a lot compared to open. But if it's an old Survivor and it hasn't got perfect paint and it's not a show car or anything like that, then yeah, open transport's just fine. Like if I'd got Marge transported instead of driving it back, then that would have come open, not covered, and nothing that happened to it on a transporter was going to be worse than what she'd already lived through. So Colin Morton, do you get to see any right-hand drive vehicles over there? Occasionally. They do a few right-hand drive Jeeps for the post office for delivering mail, because the right-hand side of the car is the mailbox side, and so they drive up and just lean out from the driver's door and throw the mail in the mailbox. So you see a few of them, and there's a few Aussie cars over here. Not long ago, I saw an LH, I think it was, Tirana, fastback, hatchback, like an A9X type. It wasn't an A9X, but it was close to it. I can't remember exactly what it was. But yeah, that was right-hand drive. An Aussie guy brought with him from Australia and was living in California. So yeah, there's a few around. Barracuda, when painting caravans, I found the Nason 2-pack paint to be very good, and it lays down nice and a nice shine. Yeah, the last thing you'd want to be doing is colour sanding a bloody caravan. Imagine that. Yeah, that would you'd grow old doing that. Chris Cadman, Bourbon time. Absolutely, it is. Abrax, hey Kiwi, do you do your own alignments? If not, what's a good shop in near Williamson County that's not afraid of older modified stuff? Yeah, we've got a guy C just up the road from me that does all my alignments. It's called C and F Tires. He will do the older cars. Yeah, he's not worried. He does all of my stuff, be it, and that's with Mustang 2 suspension and Mustangs, like completely aftermarket suspension. He doesn't care. He does them. He's not afraid of them. He's about $125 to do an alignment on an older car because they're a little bit more labor intensive. Some places are doing wheel alignments on your late model stuff for $69. And those ones, all they do is the toe. All they adjust is the toe in and toe out. Because a lot of the late model stuff you can't adjust camber and caster. So he'll charge you $125 plus tax plus whatever. But he does the camber and the caster and gets it all pointing the right direction for you. So yeah, C and F tires. They're on Columbia Ave and Franklin. Long Island Mopars. It's a Manhattan. Long Island iced tea is a whole nother thing. Why did I get? Yeah, I think because of Long Island Mopars, I got it stuck in my head that it was a Long Island iced tea. It's a Manhattan. I'm telling everybody the wrong information. I'm having one of those nights. I got 2 live streams going at the same time, and I'm a mess tonight, guys. See, all I can say is bollocks. So yeah, don't listen to anything I'm saying tonight. It's probably this Manhattan that's the root cause of the problem. Patrick Sullivan. Okay, I googled it. You're correct. Australian inline 6 for 4 litre. Yeah, that's a fantastic motor. That late model Falcon 4 litre, the Barra motor they call it. Twin cams, 4 valve per cylinder. They're making massive horsepower out of it. Massive horsepower out of them. If any of you are interested, just go on YouTube and search Barra engines, like BARRA engines, and it'll come up with a bunch of stuff. There's one I saw on there the other day. They're making 2,000 horsepower out of a Barra engine. It's a drag car, admittedly, but 2,000 horsepower, jeez. And it's only got to go for 6 seconds, but still 2,000 horsepower. Urkos, he's out of there. You would rather look at a politician than my pretty face. Really, Eric? Come on. I mean, what's that about? I don't know. Steve Sadusky, drum up likes for me. Good on you, bud. Thank you. What are we up to? 57 likes. We got 59 people in the room. This is good. Hugh Phillips, out of all the classics out there nowadays, what would you say is the most put back on the road, and how does it affect the market values? The 2 biggest ones these days really are going to be the Mustang and the Camaro. And really that's backed up. Probably the Mustang over the Camaro, to be honest. It probably drives the price of the Mustang down a little bit, but certainly on the coupe anyway, the fastback kind of bucks that trend a little bit. A good fastback is still fetching good money, really good money. they're a little bit harder to sell, the Mustangs, because there's just so many options. Like if you decide you want a Mustang, you can also decide ahead of time what color Mustang you want. You want a red one, a blue one, or whatever. Because whatever color you can dream up, there's going to be like half a dozen of those Mustangs in that color for sale somewhere near you. Like there's just so many Mustangs around, and that it's supply and availability is the thing. That's why the rare cars fetch more money, because they're not very available, and when there's a lot of a particular model around, they get a little cheaper. So, but the Mustang's cheap to rebuild too. So, if you're doing a Hemi Mopar, then it's going to cost you a lot to fix it, restore it, but you're going to get a lot for it. So, depends a lot where your budget's at, Long Island Mopars. Like button engaged. Very good. Wow, man, Fitzgeralding. Wow, you've been out power for a while, haven't you, bud? What? Yeah, most of the week. Yeah, it must be 3, 4, 5 days you've been out of power. Wow. Chris Freemesser, good evening. How you doing, sir? Rex Ferris, somehow the quarters are all right. That's unusual. The floor is predictably rusted, yeah, but the engine seems to run all right. Well, that's good. You've got you've got a fair bit of the equation under control by the sound of it, so which is good. Floor pans, if you've got a reasonable amount of rust in the floor pans, my advice, not that you asked for it, but here it is, try and get a complete floor pan and put a complete floor pan in. Some people find that a bit daunting to put a whole floor pan in, but yeah, it's you just end up, it's surprising how it's typically quicker to put a complete floor pan in than put 3 or 4 patches in, and the end result is just so much better. So, yeah, there you go. Bit of free advice that you didn't ask for. What's on it to be? Hey, Kiwi, dropped in to say hello to you and all. Oh, hey, welcome along, bud. Welcome along. Now, Rex Ferris, I haven't gotten a car yet, but it costs around $3,000. I've done a couple of cars before, both Plymouth, but does this seem like a good deal to you all? 57. Is it a 2-door, 4-door wagon? Like if it's 2-door, then that's a pretty good deal. $3,000. If yeah, I mean, I paid $3,000 for my wagon, and yeah, that's got floor pan issues, and engine issues, and lots of issues. But it's a wagon, so it's a little rarer. But yeah, 2-door hardtop, they're always desirable. Yeah. Granddad's junk Rex, what engine in it? Yeah. The inline 6. Okay, 3 on the tree. Yeah, $3,000 for a flathead 6 3-speed car. Yeah, I mean, if it's in reasonable shape, that's kind of the money you're going to need to pay. But even for a 4-door, people are asking. I've seen, $6,000 to $10,000 on 2-door hardtops that have no floor in them, like nothing, bad shape. So yeah. Chris Cadman, Ford flat crank. And no, not the flathead. No, I know the difference, the flat plane crank. That's a pretty cool, they sound awesome with the flat plane crank in it. They sound amazing. That's a pretty neat idea. No, I'm a fan. Okay. Granddad's junk's encouraging Rex to buy his $3,000 '57 Plymouth. Cool. Sounds like a fun car. That's nice of you guys to be pulling for Fitzgeralding. He's a good dude. And yeah, it's sad to see people get kicked like that by Mother Nature. Rex Ferris. If I get it, I'll definitely be in the comments section more. Well, good on you, man. Send me some pictures. Just Google me and the Kiwi Classics and Customs, and send me some pictures. Email me some pictures. I'd be interested to see. Granddad's junk. Big M has panel parts as well. I think he has a couple of 57s there. There's a few dismantling yards around the country that have got the early Plymouths or early Mopars. Yeah, I got the side trim for Marge from CTC Auto Ranch. They dismantled a 59 wagon a few years back, and they've got it still there, and that had most of it wasn't quite a full set, but it was close enough with what was left on Marge, which wasn't much, and I ended up between what I got off them and what I had on the car with the full set, so I was happy. All right. Go for it. Vilefly. That's a neat idea, showing us youngsters how to use a tow bar to do alignment. Okay, not sure what you're talking about there, bud. Chris Cadman, are you serious? My pal had a right steer mini and had a fake steering wheel and put his giant Newfoundland dog in the seat. Oh my god. Yeah, that would have caused some accidents. Peril, you should make a Chrysler Conquest Hemi swap update video. Well, I should, but I'd have to do some updates to it first. I haven't got time to get to it. Yeah, just so busy at work, and I think next year things are going to calm down a little bit. In that, I'm just booking much less work. I'm being much more selective on what I say I'm going to work on. So I'm hoping that's going to open up a little more time for some of the stuff I want to do. Because the unfortunate reality is I'm running out of time to get them done. And I don't mean on a daily or weekly basis. I'm running out of years that I can work as hard as these cars need to be worked on. So I have to kind of, when you're 30, you've got a lot of time in front of you. When you're my age, you've got to plan a little better to use your time up. Because I could book enough work that I just work till I drop and never get anything I want done. So I've got to not fall into that trap and actually make some time for myself. So that's the plan. Hopefully the Conquest will come back into the shop one day, and we'll get it done. John Giddens, for Americans interested in a Barra engine cars, also check out Adam LZ, Barra Mustang sequential transmission. Nice. What's the name of the company Aussie that makes the sequential transmissions? They built them for the Aussie touring cars as well, didn't they? But sequential transmission's awesome. I saw an advert for a sequential shifter that turns a typical H pattern or typical 5-speed pattern into a sequential. And I thought, that's pretty cool. But it's like $3,000 for the shifter. That's as much as the transmission. It's like, whoa, okay, I might stick with the H pattern. But Chris Cadman, Rangoon Red Mustang. Yeah, there's always a lot of Rangoon Red cars around, Ford ones, a lot. Vilefly does too many sight alignments. Yeah, I've done a few eyeball alignments in the past, just to get it onto an actual machine to do it correctly. But yeah, you can. You can't see the last, like below 3/8 or half an inch toe in, toe out is hard to eyeball, but you can get it kind of sort of loosely in the same, both wheels in the same direction. Rex Ferris, 4-door. Okay, but yeah, still a cool car, man. Some people kind of hate on the 4 doors, but still a cool car, and that'll get a lot of attention when you're driving it. So, but yeah, $3,000. It sounds like a fairly solid car, and you don't get a lot for $3,000 anymore, Rex Ferris, the price also includes floor pans that aren't installed. Well, there you go. It's getting better all the time. End of time. I have a 206 in my 1980s Zephyr, and I drive it almost every day for 8 years. I didn't know they made a Zephyr in 1980. Unless that's a typo. I thought the Zephyrs stopped being built well before that, like in the 60s. Okay. Enlighten me, End of time. Tell me about that car. Rex Ferris, I'm finishing up a 50 Deluxe Fastback at the moment. Well, that sounds cool. Do you post any of the stuff up any social media or anything? Need to have a look at some of the stuff. Long Island Mopars, save it. 57 and 58 Plymouths are timeless. What about 59s, Andy? Come on. I mean, are you slighting my 59 Plymouth? Like, what's that about? Oh, Mike Batista, my 206 Fairmont through a rod. Is the block fixable? No, sorry, it's not. If it's through a rod, no, not fixable. Just no. Get another block. They're not hard to find as yet. They're still pretty available. Somebody might say yes, you can fix it. You can put a heavy sleeve in it, and but it's just don't just get another block. Anything can be fixed if you really want to enough, but is it ever as good? No, I don't think so. No, personally. Vileflight will be a great video to show how to use a tow bar to set the alignment on a car. I'd have to get a set of the tow bars to do that. Spelled it wrong. Yeah, now it makes sense. Yeah. Yeah, it made no sense before. One letter makes all the difference, doesn't it? Yeah, if I had a set of those, I'd do a video on a heartbeat, but I don't have any, and probably not going to go looking and buy it for a set and buying them. I'm kind of lucky in that I've got an alignment shop like literally like 3 minutes up the road. Granddad's junk. I guess I'm a bit biased towards Plymouth. I have a 2 1930 Plymouth. One is early, no water pump. Huh. Oh, that was what did they call it? Thermosiphon. They were a thermosiphon, weren't they? Some of the old English cars had that thermosiphon setup. It just relied on the hot water rising and pushing the cold water down, and that's how it went through the engine block. But they made minute horsepower by today's standards, so the heat was nowhere near as big a problem. Chris Freemason, Zephyr was the Mercury version of the Ford Fairmont. Okay, there you go. You learn something every day. I haven't seen those. The last kind of Zephyrs I remember were the English Zephyrs, which I think they disappeared around 1970. They was a Mark IV Zephyr, which I think started in the late 60s and was gone, early 70s. Yeah. Peril, saw you at SEMA with the KSV 9000 a while back. You had longer and darker hair. Yes, it's probably a few pounds lighter too. Yeah, that was a while ago. That was 2014. That's 10 years ago, buddy. Wow, you remember seeing me there. That's awesome. That's awesome. That was a blast. That week at SEMA was just, yeah, that's one of my life highlights. It was really just amazing. Yeah, the feedback on the car and the comments that the car got, the attention that it got was it was awesome. It really was awesome, and being on one of the being on a stand in Hot Rod Alley, with Trick Flow, we got to go to a lot of the after event do's that were on there after, like the evening, like every night there was a party going on somewhere. One of the sponsors, one of the the big parts people, that were displaying their stuff at SEMA, there'd be parties going on, and that was a week away, and I got home exhausted. I was done. We had a good time all day at the show, and then we had a very good time every evening into the night, and we never went to a casino. It's in Vegas, but we didn't have time to go, messing with, gambling. Honestly, there was too much fun to be had at, vendor parties that were going on. It was awesome. It was great. Rex Ferris, not yet, but definitely plan on it. Yeah, I would, mate. And you'll be surprised at the feedback you get, at potential help that you may get, with parts and stuff like that, from people that see it, and not suggesting it to try and make any money out of the social media side of it, but just to get a little bit of exposure, and you'll be surprised what help you may well receive. Some of the people that see you doing these things, you'll be surprised how generous they can be at times. And I would definitely make yourself a little page and go after it and see what happens. Yeah. Long Island Mocars, okay, Kiwi. Okay, Kiwi. And the 59s. I watched you live stream all the way back from California. Oh, good on you, bud. Yeah, that was another little life highlight. I've got to say, that whole trip back from California was fun. We talked to so many people along the way, because we were stopping every 100 miles to fill up with oil and fuel, that was a blast. That was a week. It was hard work. Again, got home exhausted, but typically that means you had a good time. So yeah. Rex Ferris, where should I post the photos? Oddly enough, for a 20-year-old, I haven't really done much with social media. 20 years old. Good on you, man. That's awesome. I didn't realize you were that young. Wow. And you're all like on your third or fourth Plymouth? That's amazing. Mate, we need more young guys like you coming up. Just get you just have to sit down and do it on you. I would suggest doing it on YouTube, and even search on YouTube, how do I start a YouTube channel? And there's videos about how to do it. And you'll be at your age doing what you're doing and giving it a crack. You'll be surprised how much support you'll get. You really will. And if you start up that channel, I will definitely be watching it and see how you get on. And guys like me and other guys, who have been doing it for decades. I know I can only speak for myself, to be fair, but I love seeing young guys like you, having a crack at this stuff. And if I can help you, I will. Yeah, we really need to, as older statesmen, need to help the young guys coming through. And most of the older statesmen know that, and they will help you. They'll give you some advice. They'll give you parts. They'll give you tips to where to get the parts you need. I would definitely do it on YouTube and start your own little channel. As I say, not with a view to making money from it, but just making contacts. Really, as much as anything, making contacts, making some friends, and getting some education on what it is you're trying to do. Stray bullet. That's how Model T engines cool. Yeah. The thermo siphon. That was a thing before my time, but I remember my old man explaining it to me. Like, it was decades ago that he was explaining it to me, and it's that brings back memories. It's kind of cool. Granddad's junk. I paid $2,000 for the '58 Savoy, cheap, especially here. Very hard to find parts in New Zealand. Yes, it was. My dad had a '59 Plymouth sedan, 4-door sedan, flathead 6, 3-speed column change. He had one of those, and that's kind of part of the reason I when I saw Marge, I kind of had to have it, because that was something that me and him both thought would be cool. Would be like, we loved this '59 Plymouth, and the thought of having one in a wagon was like, these would make such a cool station wagon. They'd be huge, And then I'm looking through Facebook Marketplace, and here's a '59 Plymouth wagon. It's like, oh, okay, that's a sign. I've got to have it, and so I got it, and which was, it was nice to be in a position where I could do that, and I could spend a week, going cross country and having a crazy adventure with it. It was very cool. Stray bullet 70 Zephyr is a Fox body. Really? Not the English Zephyr, surely. Firefly cannot find a good alignment shop. That goes farther than setting toe. Yeah. Yep, that's all they want to do these days. Just make a quick 69 to 95 and tweak the toe and send you on your way. CNF Tyres in Franklin will do it for you, but they'll charge you double of what some of the other alignment shops are. But they're doing 3 times the work, so you got to pay. Chris Cadman, imagine Kiwi with long, lush dark hair in Vegas. Sounds like trouble. It was trouble, all right, but not that kind of trouble. We were too busy just talking shit about cars and getting drunk. So yeah. Mind you, in saying that, one of the bars I did get hit on pretty hard, but if I'm honest, I think she might have been on an hourly rate. Yeah. It's funny though. Long, lush, dark hair. Wasn't much longer than this, but it wasn't long hair, but it was longer than what I have it now. Vilefly. I stuck a 289 and a 77 Zephyr just to be obnoxious. It was hilarious. 0 traction, 1 wheel wonder, 1 tyre fire. There you go. Stray bullet. I'm very specific about my alignment requirements. Yeah, well, that can make it a challenge too, because the alignment guys don't like the customers telling them how the alignment should be done. Some of them get quite weird about that. They're like, I've been doing this for 40 years and I know exactly how it should be. It's like, okay. Dances with empties. What can original rust-free 71 Plymouth satellite 4-door be found for in Tennessee? Oh, good Lord. I don't know. Not the most sought-after car ever, a 71 satellite 4-door. But probably depends a little bit on what engine's in it, that type of thing. I'm not really sure. I've never I don't know. Rust free. That's going to be your challenge. The fact that it's rust free means you're gonna have to pay $4 or $5 at least, I would think, for one that's reasonable. But yeah, rust free, that might be a bit of a unicorn, but vol fly, zero toe, zero camber, etc. LOL. Yeah, stray bullet. That's exactly what they do. You've had a rough time with the alignment guys, stray bullet. Yeah, yeah, they don't like to be told, but hey. Vol fly over caster gauge, but not tow bar, not yet. There you go. I mean, that is an option, is doing it yourself. You get it how you want to. Unfortunately, I've got it. My alignment guy's tame, and whatever I tell him to do it to, he's like, okay, and he does it. And yeah, but I think he trusts that I've got a clue about what I'm doing, because I'm sure they see a few guys that are full of their own ability and what they know exactly what needs to be done, and they quite possibly are wrong. But yeah, he seems to trust me for what I ask him to do, and I trust him, so it's all good. Volfly, they don't even shim the rear wheel hubs on front drive cars anymore. They just let it fly. Yeah, I don't think many places did that. Did they? Did they get that carried away to actually align the rears as well? Especially with shims. Some of the rear suspension on the front drives is just adjustable, like the front alignment, with eccentrics and stuff like that. But yeah, you get into shimming, that's a bit of work. I'd have bought a used alignment machine, but nothing in my shop is level, even at home. Yeah. Orlando Pockets, hey, it's Kiwi and a little Spirits and a dragster. Oh, somebody noticed the dragster. Here we go. Can we see it? Can you see it? Let's have a look at this. Yeah, where's the camera gone? Yeah. Oh. It is a Creeks and Donovan. Someone could probably, I don't know that much about it, to be honest. Donovan Engineering. I don't even know it's a neat little thing. It's got little, I think that part comes off. Little driver's compartment area comes off. Front wing comes off. Yeah, it's quite a neat little die cast. Quite neat. Anyway, put it back together now. So yeah, kind of cool. Even got little plug wires and everything. It's quite detailed. So there you go. One of my collection. All right. Now, back to the questions or comments. Long Island Mopars, these alignment shops tweak the toe but don't centre the steering wheel. Yeah, how often have you picked a car up from the wheel liners and the wheels? Yeah. Not that hard to do. It's really not, but they're just trying to get them in and out in 10 minutes, which I guess is why they charge $70. Barry Cooder, I set my VH Valiant's wheel alignment to the race driver Leo Leonard. I remember Leo Leonard. Leo Leonard, they had the Pine Pack Falcons as well, didn't they? I think that was Leo Leonard. It's definitely better than the factory settings. Probably work on Ellie Valiant. Yeah. Yep. May not have been the best for tyre wear in the long run, on a calmly driven car. But for someone who likes the car to turn a little bit more aggressively, then I'm sure his setup would have been better than most. Raider X. Well, I've been corrected and pointed out this is actually a Manhattan. Yeah, I'm kind of going slow on this one tonight. There's 4 ounces of. There's like 4 shots in here. So there's quite a bit of bourbon in here. And it helps, if you're not seeing double when you're trying to read the comments. Just saying. Stray Bullet, the late 70s Fairmont and the Zephyr are Fox body cars. Okay. I'll have to go and look up those Zephyrs. I'm thinking of the English Zephyrs. I'm guessing you're talking about an American Zephyr, which is quite different by the sound of it. Great shirt, Mr. Kiwi. Yeah, it's one of my favourites. I don't know if you guys can see it or not, but yeah. Bollocks, as the English would say. That's a very English saying. Obviously, with the Union Jack, the English flag. But yeah, it's you get a few odd looks when you're walking around the supermarket with it all. Like some people have no idea what it means, and other people are like, oh, that's a bit on the nose to be wearing around on Sunday at Kroger's, But what the hell? It's not a swear word. Stray Bullet. I race my car, so very specific requirements. Well, absolutely. Right, what else we got here? Rex Ferris. What should I consider in terms of doing the disc brake conversion on my 55 Plymouth versus keeping the drum brakes? Well, okay. Well, the risk of sounding a little bit like UTG, I am a fan of disc brakes. I will say that up front. But there's applications where the drums do just fine. 55. I know the drum brakes on my Plymouth, they're kind of odd. They're which is a 59. But they've got that old adjustment. They have like 2 adjust. You would adjust the shoes individually, and they can be a little finicky for getting them adjusted. But once you get them adjusted right, they work pretty good. I'm gonna leave the drums on Marge, and probably just add a brake booster to it, so you need a little bit less pedal pressure. But drums will stop the car. The drawbacks with drums, if you're doing repeated heavy stops, they will fade. But I mean, it's a 55 Plymouth. Are you going to be taking it on a road course? Are you going to be doing a lot of aggressive braking? Taking it on some winding backcountry roads and giving it hell? I'm guessing, being a 55 Plymouth, the answer to that's going to be not really. So yeah, the drums will do you just fine, and you're going to have a little bit of difficulty getting a disc brake conversion kit to fit that car. So consequently, it's going to be a little pricey. You may well be able to get them, but they will be a little bit pricey. Like the only kit I had a quick look for discs on Marge when I knew I had to replace the drums. So I wonder what disc brakes are. But the cheapest disc brake kit I could find for that was in the region of $1,400. Whereas you get a disc brake conversion kit for the front of a Mustang, it's about $450. Big difference in price and it's a numbers game. They make a lot of these disc brake kits for Mustangs and early Fords, so they're cheap. When as I'm sure you're well aware, there's not many 55 Plymouths around, so there's not much demand for the brake kit. So, for the work they put into making the conversion kit, they've got to recoup that over not many kits, so they're a higher price. So yeah, really the upshot of that is I would, if the drums are in reasonable shape, and you can get, I'm sure you'll be able to get shoes and stuff for it. I'd be, put a dual circuit master cylinder in it for a little bit of safety, and run with the drums you got. And if the pedals are a little, requires a lot of pressure, just look at putting a booster in it, even if it's an inline booster. I've done that in the past, is just put one of these little inline boosters that sort of some of the 50s Thunderbirds had, and just boost up the front brakes, because your front brakes do most of the work anyway. So if you add boost you can add boost just to the front, depending on the system. If you're going to stick with the single pot master cylinder, then you can put an inline booster in and boost all four wheels. But yeah, I'd be tempted to stick with what's on it. Raider X alive and hammered Kiwi may break YouTube's algorithm. Yeah. Oh, I don't know about that. I think their algorithm's pretty tough. I'm not hammered just yet, but I'm working on it. I remember doing the New Year's Eve live with Tony, and I was definitely feeling the effects on that night. But it was New Year's Eve, so John Gittins, do they still do four-wheel string alignments anymore? Used to do on my Triumph 2.5, setting camber, toe, and caster. I didn't know you could do camber and caster with a string alignment. Is that what you mean? I'm not familiar with that, but yeah, for doing that was a rally car thing. Was doing it with string. Well, I'm not. That's how we used to do the rally cars back in the day. Orlando Pocket. If the wheels don't smoke, it must be aligned. Oh, Lord. Okay. Yes. Dancers with empties. The 71-2 satellites still hold a pretty good line for a four-door, in my 2-cent opinion. Yeah, not a bad looking car at all. I think old UTG's. I think that's what he's got. One of his drag cars, a seriously cut up and lightened satellite. Around that 71, 72, it might be slightly newer. But yeah, not a bad looking car. Barracuda, why do speedway cars smell of castor oil? Do they have it in the crankcase or just in the fuel? Typically, it's the fuel that gives it that smell. The type of the avgas that they use, race gas that they use, is usually what creates that. In my experience, creates that smell. I love that smell, but hey, I'm a little weird, so what are you going to do? Volfly, when I was doing alignments and someone wanted some custom settings, I had no problem with it. Yeah, well, that's the side of someone who doesn't have a big ego to protect. The guys that usually get all butthurt about you telling them what you want, have a delicate ego that they want to believe that they're the only ones, on their corner of the planet that know what they're doing. But actually, there's more than that, Stray Bullet, they sure are happy to advertise their four-wheel alignments. Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a difference between checking the wheel alignment and actually setting the wheel alignment too. Josh Homan, nice tractor. Thanks, man. I got a few others up in the other. I'll bring a couple of new cars out each week, and if you guys look at them and if that entertains you, that's awesome. No one's commented on this one, which I kind of thought somebody might. It's like, okay, hands up. Try and get that in the middle of the screen. Hands up. Who's seen one of these? 59 Eldorado Cadillac. All right, let's see what the comments say about that. Because I'm betting not many of you have. Two parachutes, it must be fast. There you go. I didn't even notice that. It is two parachutes. Yes, you're right. Andy Nickel. Okay, I'm just sanding UV Cure polyester pour filler on a Martin D18 guitar. Kind of like high build primer on a car. The filler is polyester, but the finish will be nitrocellulose lacquer, as per original. Wow, you were able to find some some lacquer, old school lacquer. That's cool. A lot of it's pretty hard to find these days because it's not very environmentally friendly. They say, but I mean, we never used to wear masks spraying lacquer. Yeah. So, but yeah, the 2-stage stuff now, it's you have to wear a respirator, otherwise that shit will kill you. But the EPA say it's better than old school lacquer. I don't understand that, but then I'm not a chemist either, so they may be right. I don't know. Right, Robert skipped a few here. Oh, there we go. Robert Courtier, hope I'm saying that right. Donovan built a lot of Hemi stuff back in the 60s. Yeah, they did. Craig Nearing, love it. Well, thank you. The only problem I had aligning vehicles when a really fat person wanted his tiny sports car aligned. Had to set them with the fat human on board. You did too. Being told not to move the steering wheel. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Stray bullet. Disc brake 9-inch Lincoln rear end. Okay. Or an 8.8 from a Mustang. Yep. The Hollis. Keep up the good work, Kiwi. Don't forget about the stubby holder merch. Okay. Yep. I haven't forgotten about the merch, and yeah. One day. You'll have all got bored with me and subscribed somewhere else by the time I actually make it, I think. But hopefully not. Barracuda, there was a 66 Fury circuit race car over here with the 426 wedge. It was quite dominant until the drum brakes got too hot. Yeah, drum brakes in race cars are not a great idea. Vilefly, the worst was setting the alignment on a GMC Cyclone with a heavy person in it. Told him he wouldn't be right for anyone else, but yeah, that's a delicate conversation to have, isn't it? You're the only fat ass that can drive this. It's like, oops, no, maybe reword that. Holy moly, we're almost at 2 hours. We've got about 6 minutes to go, guys. That's gone really fast. That shot up again. Jay Wise, hey Kiwi, love your pod. Well, thanks, man. Glad you're enjoying it. Chris Cadman, talking about drum brakes, I have to be up front. Kiwi with the subtle humour. Oh dear, that's good. Vilefly, the C111 alignment machine used string between each alignment end. They did too. Gosh, that's going back a few years. Yeah, I remember those. Yeah, you would actually kind of connect hang the string onto the back ones. I think would run out from the front one and you'd hook them onto the rear wheel ones. But yeah, gosh, that's years ago. Jay Wise, Kiwi run out of New Zealand shirts. Got a British one now. Yeah, well, you got to change it up a bit, don't you? Try and inject a bit of humour. The holes, Kiwi is the love gone with UTG. Yeah, unfortunately, man. I wish him all the best, and I but yeah, that came to an end. Unfortunately, I miss the guy. He was a lot of fun, but yeah, sometimes shit happens. Rex Ferris, do you have any advice about getting my 55 painted, as I don't have the capability equipment yet? Yeah, that's probably going to be one of your big ticket items, is getting it painted. And honestly, I tell a lot of people to go to Mako, and I get some sideways looks when I say that. And when I say that, I don't mean go and get their $3.99 special that they advertise every now and again, which I actually haven't seen for a long time. But yeah, if you go there with a few $1,000s in hand and you take a lot of the pieces off that you don't want painted, bumpers and headlight rings, and take as much trim off, door handles, you take as much off as you possibly can for them. That gives them more time to put into prepping for paint. Because while you may not have the skill set to prep for paint, I'm sure you'll have the skill set to remove trim, remove a door handle, remove the mirrors, remove grills, headlights, tail lights, stuff like that. So you do that, what you can do, and then let them do the stuff that you can't. And it'll work out fairly well. You'll get a paint job for, I can't really speak for them, but depending what color it is and stuff like that, a few $1,000s. So yeah, I would go and see your local Mako and kind of put it to them and say you want a nice paint job, but it's I'm guessing you're not wanting a true show car job on it. But it's a restoration, but a budget restoration, and see what they can do for you. Hey Kiwi, when are you getting on the road again with Marge? Love the live drive you did way back. I've put out a few videos on Marge, doing updates to it. I put central locking in it. I put power windows in it. Just did a couple of videos on putting power steering into her. We've lowered it. We've put an exhaust, a nice exhaust on it now, so it's quiet. Chipping away at it, getting things done. We finished up all the wiring, so we could start it from the key, stuff like that. We used to have to use, on the trip back, we had a remote starter that just lived under the hood, and so we'd go into a gas station, shut it off, check the oil, hit the starter button to start it up before we close the hood again, and away we went. So yeah, she's progressed quite a while, but just look back, there's I don't know, 8 or 10 videos on her that I've done probably since we got her back here, and there's certainly more to come, time permitting. I want to get that last video I did on the power steering. Quite a few of you noticed the fairly large holes in the floor. So yeah, that's something I've got to address, get those fixed up, and then I can get some carpets in it, and I really want to get some carpets and a bit of headliner and stuff like that, and to quieten it down, because it's like driving a big tin can at the moment. It's really loud, really. It's still not what I would call a pleasant car to drive, just because of the noise and the harshness and rattles, stuff like that. It needs a lot of weather stripping on it. The doors rattle quite a bit because the weather stripping is just dry rotted off it, because it's a desert car. Desert cars have their good size, and they're not typically too rusty, but a lot of stuff is just baked to death, like the rubbers and stuff like that. Got a new windshield to go in it. I've got a second-hand. You can't buy new windshield gaskets for them, not true ones, but I've got one that's a lot better than the one that's in it. So one of these days I'll change out the windshield so we don't have that big crack straight down the middle of it. But yeah, I've done quite a bit of videos, and there's a bunch more to come. Rex Ferris, wow, the 59 model is gorgeous. Thanks, man. Hey, that's a cool 59. Oh, I'm guessing you guys are checking out the videos. Oh, cool. Thank you. Vilefly, nice wagon. I saw one once as a kid. Yeah. You're to the model. 59 model is gorgeous. Yeah, okay. Sorry, you're talking about this. That's right. I'm having Yeah, the bottom just fell out of it. Look at that. That's not good. Hang on, you didn't see that. Yeah, so you're talking about that. Yeah, I actually made that. That was a kit. That was a '59 Cadillac Coupe de Ville, Eldorado Coupe de Ville, and I actually made the roof and stuff on it back years ago before I was building hot rods full time, and would mess around with stuff like that. So I actually made the roof for it and turned it into a wagon. So that is a one of one, custom made. So, but that would be cool to make, to build a real one. It would be cool but yeah. It's probably only ever going to be a kit set car. Wagons and fins are cool. There they are. Granddad's junk. It's been great with lots of chatting. Yeah, I've been the one doing all the chatting, but yeah, that's how lives are. Wayne Buzzell, that's why Buick aluminum drums were very desirable, lightweight and great heat dissipation. Yeah, they were. And lots of fins on them, which helped immensely with the heat dissipation. Yeah, Jay, I don't know. I mean, I'm open to it, but Tony knows where I am, and yeah. No, he probably doesn't want to say much about it, but yeah, it is what it is. Yeah, it was a waste. It was quite unnecessary. It was just like a waste is the best way I can describe it. Yeah. Anyway, Mako does a decent job if you do a good portion of the preparation. Stray bullet. Yeah, exactly. You give them a little bit of a budget and you do a lot of that work that they don't want to do, that time-consuming stuff. They'll do a decent job for you. But yeah, your alternative is going to a hot rod shop, and like a lot of shops these days, paint jobs start at 20 grand. Well, that's out of the reach of or maybe not the reach, but that's out of what people want to spend on a lot of cars these days. But if you're going for that really perfect paint job, it's incredibly labor intensive. You can spend a couple of months getting the car ready for paint and then putting the expensive paint on it. So yeah, the money's there if it's done right. They're not crazy at 20 grand. It's really not crazy money when you break it down to the hours that's involved. I mean, on a color sanded paint job, you can spend 30, 40 hours color sanding and buffing after you've painted it. So people, I've seen comments on forums, like Mustang forums and different forums, and people just, some people get into a real rant about how it's just obscene how paint shops are charging 20 grand, and it's like, it might appear that way, but the reality is it's really not. It's what it takes. And it's one of the reasons I'm not painting anymore, because to do it right, like really spot on right, there's not a lot of money to be made in it. Mako is the modern version of Les Schwab. They kind of are, but I think, to be fair to them, they're a little bit, they're a couple of levels above that. But yeah, it's a similar kind of business model that, $49.95 for any car, any color. I mean, Mako's, they had their $400 paint job, and that was a choice of about 5 colors. None of them metallic, none of them red. Red's, about the most expensive color. Reds and dark blues and stuff like that. Stuff with a lot of pigments in them is expensive. So, Mako was like, white, beige, light yellow, light green, stuff like that. That was your choice of colors on that $400 effort that they did, but they don't. I haven't seen them advertising that for a long time. They have kind of lifted their game a little bit. Good on. Right, well, guys, we're already over time. So, Jay Weiss, do you have a Kiwi toy or key ring for the car? No, I don't, but I that's going to be part of the. I'm thinking going to be part of the merchandising when I eventually get it. Yeah. Evolve Fire, they're not far from the mark there, but Andy Nickel, I charge $1,000 just to refinish the body of an acoustic guitar. Yeah, there you go. And that's literally, and as you should, $1,000. I'll bet it's absolutely beautiful when it's done. Yeah. All right, Stray Bullet. Kiwi is a modeler. Well, I have been. I have been over the years. I think that's where my car addiction started when I was a very young lad. Like I had always had lots of kit set model cars I was making, because that was as close to a hot rod as like a 10-year-old could get. But that's where it all started. And revisit. I haven't made a model car for how long? 20 years probably. But yeah, it's, when I finally retire from the real thing, I might piddle around with them for a while. It kind of passes the time, Anyway, time to go. Time for you to go as well, I'm sure. So thanks for tuning in. Thanks for watching. Thanks for all the questions. I hope I answered it. I try and answer as many as I can. If I've missed a question, I'm sorry about that. It's not that I really wasn't ignoring you. It's just sometimes they scroll up and you miss them. And it's been fairly busy tonight, with the comments and stuff, so which is great. It's growing a little bit in popularity, which is nice. So, yeah, you guys have a great week. Hopefully we'll see you back next Tuesday night and with more questions. And one of these days, I've been talking with Kevin Tates. He's going to come in and do a guest on one of these Tuesday night lives coming up soon. So you need to work on all your paint questions because he is the man on paint. And I mean that. I'm not blowing smoke. He is the man on paint questions. If you've got any questions, like he will have the answer. And if he doesn't, the answer doesn't exist. Yeah. That'll be a good one coming up. And there might be another guy I'm working on as a guest spot on the lives, which we can't talk about yet, but I'm working on that. So, yeah, good things coming. So, all right, you guys have a great week, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.